Hello students, welcome to EPG Parsala. In this session, I shall lecture upon the topic Advanced Meteorological Instruments and Measurements. For better theoretical understanding on various atmospheric processes, there is a need to analyze good quality observational data sets on various meteorological parameters. Often there is a need to generate data at a very high temporal frequency, such as at a hourly or sub-hourly time scale, from large number of observational sites simultaneously, from inaccessible terrains, deep sea, etc., and during unfavorable weather conditions like huge storms. Using conventional meteorological sensors, it is not possible to collect data under such conditions. Now, with advances in engineering and technologies, remote information technology, then communication tools and space technology, it has become possible to collect data unattended, unbiased and at a high spatiotemporal frequency. With these advances, now it has become possible for the scientific community to convincingly comment on the different atmospheric phenomena, important atmospheric phenomena of recent times, such as climate change, global warming and global dimming. So, in this session, I shall discuss upon different electronic sensors, advanced sensors. The learning objectives of today's module is to know various electronic automated sensors and their working principle for measurement of routine meteorological parameters. Secondly, to know various state of the art instruments which are used in atmospheric science research. Rainfall is the most important weather parameter. There are different types of recording rain gauges, but most important one is tipping bucket type. Most of the rain gauge stations throughout the country and automatic weather stations employ this tipping bucket rain gauge technology. In this, rainwater gets filtered through a mesh screen and collects in a bucket or compartment. When water accumulated in the bucket equals to a certain amount, generally 0.25 millimeter of rain, the bucket gets emptied and another similar bucket takes its position. Each time a bucket is emptied, it actuates an electronic circuit which is detected by a data logger or telemetry system. Tipping bucket rain gauges are not suitable for measurement of snow. Second is digital anemometers. Now, there are two different types, one is vane anemometers, another is hot air anemometers. In case of vane anemometers, the vertical rotations of a propeller are recorded and translated into wind speed. The propeller needs to face the direction from which wind is coming. In case of hot air anemometers, an electrically heated air wire is placed in a flowing stream of gas. Heat is transferred from the wire to the gas, resulting in a decrease in temperature of the wire and a corresponding change in the resistance of the wire. By calibrating the relationship between the flow rate of the gas and the changes in resistance of the wire, wind speed is measured. It provides more accurate readings than vane anemometers. Now, radiation instruments. Generally, radiation instruments are referred as radiometers. The first I will explain is pyrheliometers. Pyrheliometer is meant for measurement of direct solar radiation of the sun. It is also known as solar emitter. In this equipment, sensor is mounted at one end of a long metallic tube having a series view limiting diaphragms. The front aperture is usually sealed with optical glass or quartz. A sun tracking unit helps align the sensor with the direct beam of the sun. Now, there are two types, one is thermoelectric type pyrheliometers which use thermopile sensors mostly made of copper constant N, and the second is angstrom compensation pyrheliometer which uses two blackened strips as sensors. Next radiation instrument is pyranometers. It measures solar radiation in the spectral range 0.3 to 4 micron, that is also called short wave solar radiation. Multi-junction thermopile is generally used as a sensor in this equipment. The sensor is coated with optical black and is mounted on a chromium plated brass case having concentric pair of glass domes. When exposed, the blackened surface gets heated and produces thermal electromotive force, which is measured by a millivoltmeter. Now, if a pyranometer faces up, that is towards the sky, it measures global radiation, that is the combination of direct plus diffuse radiation. One variant is called shaded ring pyranometer, in which a semicircular shadow ring is attached along with the sun tracker. The sun tracker always aligns the sensor towards the sun so that it can get direct beam, and the shadowing is provided to obstruct the shadowing. The result is that only diffuse radiation comes to the sensors, and so this is called shadowing pyranometer and meant for measurement of diffuse radiation. In another type which is called pyranometer, albedometer, there are two pyranometers which are in that equipment, one faces up, another faces down. Facing pyranometer measures the incoming global radiation, and the down facing pyranometer measures the reflected short wave radiation. The ultimate result, it gives the short wave reflectivity of the object. Next comes pyrgeometer. It measures the terrestrial radiation, that is atmosphere and earth radiation, in long wave range or infrared range, that is 4.5 to 100 micron. It has a thermopile sensor, about 250 copper Constantan junctions are there. This is covered with a silicon dome or window with a solar blind filter coating. There is a sun shield to minimize heating of the instrument, and there is also internal body temperature sensor which is placed near the cold junction of the thermopile. In angstrom pyrgeometer, there are 4 manganese strips, of which 2 are blackened and 2 are gold plated. The difference in temperature is sensed by the copper Constantan thermocouple attached at the back of each strip. Next radiation instrument is pyradiometer. It measures the total radiant energy, that is including short wave plus long wave, in the wavelength range 0.3 to 100 micron. It measures radiant energy either in upward or downward direction. In case of net radiometer, it measures the difference between the total downward radiation and the total upward radiation. Net pyradiometers are uniformly painted black on two sides. The surface facing up receives downwelling energy, and the one facing down receives the upwelling energy. By proper electrical connections, the outputs of the two surfaces can be measured individually, as well as the differential outputs between the two surfaces. Next comes temperature sensors. Now, soil or air temperature sensing can be done by both contact probes and remote devices. Thermocouple and thermistor types thermometers are most widely used. Platinum resistance thermometers are highly accurate and gives stable performance. However, the cost is also high. In case of non-contact temperature probes, there is infrared thermometers. It works on the black body radiation principle and governed by Stephen Boltzmann law. You can see this equation where R is the radiant energy and T is the temperature of the object. So, radiant energy emitted by the object is proportional to the fourth power of the temperature of the object, and most infrared thermometers are responsive in the 8 to 4 micrometer atmospheric window region. Now, comes to relative humidity sensors. Based on the parameter which is used for measuring humidity, these sensors can be classified into 3 categories. One is capacitive humidity sensors, second resistive humidity sensors, and third is thermal conductivity humidity sensors. Capacitive humidity sensors functions based on the changes in electrical permittivity of a dielectric material which changes in humidity. The common method of constructing a capacitive RH sensor is to use a hygroscopic polymer film as dielectric and embedding 2 layers of electrodes on the either side. The second type is resistive humidity sensors. These are usually made up of materials with relatively low resistivity, and this resistivity changes significantly with changes in humidity. The low resistivity material is deposited on top of 2 electrodes, usually made of noble metals like gold, silver or platinum. The resistivity between the electrodes changes when the top layer absorbs water, and this change can be measured with the help of a simple electrical circuit. Some of the commonly used low resistivity materials are salt, specially treated substrates, solid polyelectrolytes and conductive polymers. The third type is thermal conductivity humidity sensors. These sensors measure absolute humidity instead of relative humidity. The other two that I discussed earlier, those two measures relative humidity. In this type, often 2 tiny thermistors with negative temperature coefficients are used to form a bridge circuit In that, one thermistor is kept in an airtight chamber filled with dry nitrogen, while the other is exposed to outside environment through small vent holes. When the circuit is powered on, the resistance of the two thermometers are calculated, and the difference between those two values is directly proportional to absolute humidity. Next instrument is automatic weather station. An automatic weather station is essentially comprised of some electronic sensors and a data logger. Commonly used sensors are cup anemometer with interrupter for measurement of wind speed, potentiometer for measurement of wind direction, capacitive sensors for measurement of humidity, similarly PRTD thin film for air temperature, tipping bucket for rainfall, transducer or barometer for air pressure, and pyrometer for insolation, thermocouple or thermistors for soil temperature. Often special observations like net radiation, leaf surface wetness, ultraviolet radiation, soil moisture, soil heat flux, air quality parameters, and seawater temperature are also recorded with suitable devices. A tripod or tower is generally used to mount the different sensors, and battery, solar panels are also integral part of the AWS. Nowadays, portable automatic weather stations are also in use. Data logger is the heart of AWS. It is a combination of microcomputer, clock, multimeter, calibrator, scanner, frequency counter, controller, and signal generator all in one box. It has multiple channels for controlling the various sensors. There is software installed inside the data logger which actually guides the sensors how to collect the data at what interval and how to store it, how to retrieve the data, and in case of remote communications how it should be communicated through radio, telephone or satellite links. Now, I shall talk on the instruments which are used for atmospheric turbidity monitoring. Sun photometer is used for aerosol, ozone and water vapor monitoring. This is just like any other photometer, but designed to measure the direct beam of the solar radiance. The instrument is equipped with accurately aligned optical collimators, internal baffles to eliminate internal reflections, spectral filters, narrowband interference filters associated with each filter, a photodiode specific to particular wavelength range, and a sun tracker. Now, atmospheric attenuation effect on radiation is due to different gases and aerosols, which can be known by employing Beer's law and Langlands extrapolation. Concentration of some selected gases and aerosol in Earth's atmosphere can be studied using this sun photometer. By using sun photometer, if the signal at two or more suitably selected spectral intervals is measured, then one can derive information on aerosol, ozone and precipitable water in a atmospheric column. Some wavelengths that are used by the sun photometers for turbidity studies are 340 nanometer, 380, 440, 500, 675, 870, 936 and 1020 nanometer. Some example of commercially available models include 540 microtop sun photometer, Dobson ozone spectrophotometer, etc. Next comes cloud measurement. Information on cloud base height is required for many applications like aviation industries. Now, cloud base can be assessed using tiphigram method, which needs temperature measurements with heights. One instrument is called cloud base recorder. It employs a pulsed diode laser leader technology, whereby short laser pulses are sent out in a vertical or near vertical direction. The backscatter caused by the reflection from the surface of cloud, precipitation or other particles is analyzed to determine the height of the cloud base. There are many such modern cloud based recorders which are designed to detect even up to 3 cloud layers simultaneously. Now, instruments for measurement of heat and gas flux. First is sonic anemometer. Sonic anemometer uses sound to measure wind speed. It sends a sound signal from a fixed transmitter to a fixed receiver to compute the speed of sound. Wind speed will increase or decrease the speed of sound depending on whether it is a tailwind or a headwind. By measuring the speed of sound in both directions and from the difference of the two measurements, the wind speed along that axis can be calculated. Different forms of sonic anemometers, one dimensional to three dimensional with different designs are available. A 3D sonic anemometer uses three pairs of orthogonally oriented ultrasonic transmit receive transducer. A pair of measurements is made along each axis 10 times per second, that is at 10 Hz frequency. The wind speed along each axis is determined. Then sonic temperature is computed from the speed of sound determined from the average transit time along the vertical axis. The sonic temperature in turn is an unit input for sensible heat flux computation. In this slide, there are three types of anemometer. In the extreme left, it is a two-dimensional sonic anemometer. In the middle, it is a three-axis, three-dimensional K-style ultrasonic anemometer, and in the extreme right, it is a three-angled 3D sonic anemometer. Now, the second important equipment is large aperture scintillometer, abbreviation LAS. It is used to obtain area integrated measurement of sensible heat flux throughout the diurnal period at desired time interval. When a signal, say beam of electromagnetic radiation, passes through the atmosphere, it gets attenuated. In addition or removal of sensible heat into or out of an air parcel causes fluctuations in its temperature and humidity, leading to changes in the density of the air and refractive index as well. The changing refractive index is the main mechanism that leads to fluctuations in the beam signal intensity, a phenomena which is known as scintillations. A LAS works on the principle of measuring these scintillations and through a set of mathematical steps ultimately arrive at an estimation of sensible heat flux. In this slide, you can see the different components of a large aperture scintillometer. In the extreme right, extreme left, it is a transmitter, in the middle it is a data logger, and in the far right it is a receiver. Along with this transmitter, receiver and data logger, also there is a need to monitor the meteorological conditions during the time of measurement, and it is done using a meteorological tower or automatic weather station. Now, bow-wind ratio system. Bow-wind ratio is the ratio of two turbulent fluxes, that is sensible heat and latent heat. It is a mathematical method to calculate heat lost or gained by a surface using the concept of surface energy balance. The bow-wind ratio technique required simultaneous measurements of air temperature and water vapor pressure in at least two vertical points separated by a distance of about 1 meter above the canopy, but it should be within the constant flux layer. Bow-wind ratio method also requires measurements on net radiation and ground heat flux to compute any of the two turbulent fluxes, that is sensible and latent heat fluxes. In this slide, you can see the different equations which are used for sensible heat and latent heat flux computations. And the first equation is for surface energy balance, where net radiation is equally partitioned into partitioned into three components. One is ground heat flux G, another is sensible heat flux H, and the third is latent heat flux. So, net radiation is equal to ground heat flux plus latent heat flux plus sensible heat flux. In the second equation, latent heat is calculated using the formula Rn minus G divided by 1 plus beta, and the third is computation of sensible heat flux using the formula beta into latent heat flux. The another equipment which is used for measurement of heat and gas fluxes is called eddy covariance system. The majority of transport between the soil or vegetation surface and atmosphere takes place through turbulent rotating eddies. An eddy covariance system measures the statistical covariance between the vertical wind speed and an atmospheric property of the eddies whose flux is to be determined. Such atmospheric property could be temperature, humidity and partial gas concentration. In the above equation, Fz is the mean vertical flux density of a gas for a given time period, say 30 minutes or 60 minutes. A alpha is the mean air density, W is the vertical wind speed and C is the mixing ratio of the gas. Overbar denotes time averaging and the primes represent fluctuations from an average value. In this slide, you can see the eddy coherent system and its two major components. Its major components are sonic anemometer and infrared gas analyzer. In the far left, it is a total system. In the middle, it is a 3D sonic anemometer, and in the far right, it is an infrared gas analyzer. An infrared gas analyzer measures water vapor and carbon dioxide density by detecting the absorption of infrared radiation by water or carbon dioxide in its path. Two infrared wavelength bands are used, which are centered on strong water vapor or carbon dioxide absorption bands. Similar to trace gas fluxes, other turbulent fluxes like sensible and latent heat can also be computed. In calculation of sensible heat flux, temperature and for latent heat flux, water vapor density have to be considered instead of mixing ratio. To obtain best measurements with an eddy coherent system, proper site selection, proper positioning of the flux tower and sensors, choice of right kind of sensors and data logger, data screening method, error corrections in the data, gap filling, etc. play a very important role in final interpretation of the results. To summarize, advanced meteorological studies require good quality observational data sets at high temporal frequency and from high network density. Electronic sensors are free from human bias, capable to provide unattended measurement and data logging. Advanced radiation instruments use thermopiles, black and silver disk, bimetallic strip, silicon photodiode, silicon solar cells as sensors. For electronic thermometers, thermocouples, thermistors, RTDs, semiconductors, and for humidity, capacitive, resistive or thermal conductivity sensors are used. AWS network data are nowadays extensively used for environmental monitoring and services. For advanced studies such as energy and greenhouse gas exchanges, instruments like sonic anemometer, large aperture scintillometer, Bowen ratio system and eddy coherent systems are used. Sun photometers are used for atmospheric turbidity monitoring. Thank you.